My family has been in the pawn business for a long time. My dad, the old man, was a Navy veteran. He knew a thing or two about discipline and hard work. In 1989, he and I opened the Gold and Silver Pawn Shop here in Las Vegas. It wasn't a big fancy place back then. It was just a small family business. We worked long hours, 7 days a week. We saw all kinds of things come through the door. Some were junk, some were treasures. You never knew what the next person would bring in. That was the exciting part of the job. It still is. We built our business one customer at a time. We learned to be fair and honest. That's how you build a reputation in this town. We saw everything from guitars to guns, from jewelry to old toys. And of course, we saw a lot of coins. Coins have always been a big part of the pawn business. People inherit them, find them, or collect them. When they need cash, they often bring their coins to us. I had to learn a lot about coins, and I had to learn it fast. There's a lot of money to be made, but there's also a lot of money to be lost if you don't know what you're doing. Then, in 2009, everything changed. The History Channel came calling. They wanted to make a TV show about our shop. We called it Pawn Stars. We never thought it would become so popular. Suddenly, our little family shop was famous all over the world. Millions of people were watching me, my son Corey, the old man, and Chumley. They got to see what life is like in a pawn shop. They saw the weird items, the tough negotiations, and the amazing history that walks through our door every single day. It was a wild ride, and it still is. The show brought in even more incredible items. People came from all over the country to sell us their stuff. They knew we had experts and we paid good money for the right things. The show gave us a platform to talk about history. I love history. Every item that comes in has a story. And some of the best stories come from the smallest items, like coins. They are little pieces of history you can hold in your hand. They tell you about the past, about the people who made them, and the times they lived in. That's what makes this job so cool. I remember one of the most incredible coin deals we ever did on the show. A guy walked in with a coin that looked old, really old. He said it was a 1792 birch cent. Now I've seen a lot of old coins, but this one was special. The year 1792 is a magic number for coin collectors. That was the year the US Mint was founded. They were experimenting with new designs for American money. The birch cent was one of those experimental coins. It was named after its designer, Robert Birch. It was one of the very first coins ever proposed for the new United States. This coin was more than just a piece of metal. It was a symbol of a new nation. Think about it. America had just won its independence. The founding fathers were building a new government. They needed their own money. They didn't want to use British pounds anymore. So they started making their own coins. The birch cent was part of that beginning. It had a picture of Lady Liberty on it, with the words, "Liberty, parent of science and industry." It was a powerful message. It said that America was a place of freedom and progress. Not many of these coins were ever made. The guy who brought it in knew he had something special, but he didn't know exactly how special it was. That's where I come in. My job is to figure out the story and the value. I looked at the coin very carefully. The details were amazing. You could still see the fine lines in Liberty's hair. The date was clear. It was in incredible condition for a coin that was over 200 years old. My heart started beating a little faster. I knew this could be a once-in-a-lifetime find. This is the kind of thing that makes you love the pawn business. We had to negotiate, of course. That's the name of the game. He wanted a lot of money, and I had to be sure I could sell it for more. We went back and forth. I had to think about the risk. It's a lot of money to tie up in one small coin, but the history was just too amazing to pass up. In the end, we made a deal. It was one of the biggest coin purchases we had ever made on the show at that time. It was a piece of American history, and now it was part of the history of our shop too. People often ask me why I get so excited about old coins. They say, "Rick, it's just a penny or it's just a quarter," but it's never just a coin. Every coin is a time capsule. It tells a story about the year it was made. It tells you what was important to people at that time. It tells you about the economy, the politics, and the art of the era. When you hold an old coin, you are holding a direct link to the past. Someone spent that coin to buy bread, or maybe a newspaper. A soldier might have carried it in his pocket during a war. It has seen things we can only read about in books. Take the Morgan silver dollar, for example. We see these all the time in the shop. They were minted from 1878 to 1904, and then again in 1921. They were made from silver discovered in the West, like the Comstock lode in Nevada. These coins represent the Wild West. They represent the boom of the mining towns, the cowboys, and the expansion of America across the continent. When you hold a Morgan dollar, you're holding a piece of that story. You can almost hear the saloon doors swinging and the sound of a steam train whistle in the distance. Or, think about the coins made during World War II. In 1943, the government needed copper for the war effort. They needed it for shell casings and wiring. So, they stopped making pennies out of copper. For 1 year, they made them out of steel. The 1943 steel penny is a famous coin. It looks different. It feels different. It's a reminder of a time when the entire country came together to make sacrifices. Every time I see one, I think about the greatest generation and everything they did for our country. It's a powerful piece of history in a tiny package. That's why coins are so important. They are not just currency. They are historical documents. They have the faces of presidents, symbols of liberty, and messages of hope. They show us how America saw itself at different points in time. From the early days of the Republic to the challenges of the 20th century, coins have been there. They have been in the pockets of ordinary people and great leaders. They connect us to our shared past. And that's something you can't put a price on. Well, actually, in my business, you can. And that's the fun part. There is one coin that most collectors agree is the most beautiful coin ever made by the United States. It's the St. Gaudens Double Eagle. This isn't just a coin, it's a masterpiece. It was designed by a famous sculptor named Augustus St. Gaudens. At the beginning of the 20th century, President Theodore Roosevelt wanted to make American coins beautiful. He thought our money looked boring and ugly. He wanted our coins to look as great as the country itself, so he hired St. Gaudens, one of the best artists in the country, to redesign them. The result was breathtaking. The coin shows Lady Liberty striding forward, holding a torch in one hand and an olive branch in the other. The sun is rising behind her. It's a powerful image of progress and strength. On the back, there is a majestic eagle flying across the sun. The details are incredible. The high-relief version of the coin, made in 1907, is especially stunning. The design is so deep that it almost looks like a small sculpture. It was very difficult to make, and the mint had to strike each coin multiple times to get the full detail. We've had a few of these come into the shop over the years. Every time I see one, I have to stop and admire it. You can see the artistry. You can feel the history. These coins were worth $20 back then. They were made of nearly a full ounce of gold. People used them in big business deals. But in 1933, President Franklin D. Roosevelt made it illegal for private citizens to own gold. He was trying to stop the Great Depression. The government recalled all the gold coins and melted them down into gold bars. Because of this, most of the St. Gaudens Double Eagles were destroyed. This makes the surviving ones incredibly rare and valuable. A few were saved by collectors, and some were smuggled out of the country. Finding one today is a real treat. It represents a time when America was confident and growing. It also represents a dramatic moment in our economic history. It's a beautiful piece of art with a dramatic story. What more could you ask for in a coin? It's the perfect combination of beauty, rarity, and history. In the pawn business, you have to be careful, very careful. For every amazing, authentic piece of history that comes through the door, there are, honestly, about 10 fakes. And with rare coins, the problem is even bigger. When a coin is worth thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars, there will always be someone trying to make a cheap copy. They try to fool people into paying a high price for something that is, well, basically worthless. Part of my job is to be a detective. I have to spot the fakes before I lose a lot of money. It's a constant battle of wits, really. Counterfeiters have gotten very good over the years. They use modern technology to make copies that look almost perfect. They can replicate the design, the weight, and even the look of an old coin. But there are always little things they get wrong. Maybe the lettering is a little bit off. Maybe the details aren't as sharp as they should be. Sometimes the metal itself is wrong. A real silver dollar has a certain ring to it when you tap it. A fake one often sounds dull. You have to use all your senses to figure it out. I've seen all kinds of fakes on the show. We had a guy come in with what he claimed was a 1913 Liberty Head nickel. Now, only 5 of those are known to exist. They are worth millions of dollars. So right away, I was suspicious. I looked at it under a microscope. The date looked wrong. It looked like someone had taken a different nickel and changed the date. It was a clever fake, but it wasn't good enough. I had to give the guy the bad news. He was disappointed, but it's better to know the truth. This is why knowledge is so important in my business. You have to know the history of these coins. You have to know how they were made. You have to know what a real one looks like up close. You can't just trust what someone tells you. You have to do your own research. You have to check the details. It's a high-stakes game. If you're right, you can make a lot of money, but if you're wrong, you can lose your shirt. That's what makes it exciting. Every coin is a mystery waiting to be solved. I know a lot about a lot of things. After so many years in the business, you have to. I can tell you about old guns, vintage guitars, and classic cars. I know my way around jewelry and art, but nobody can know everything. And when it comes to rare coins, the stakes are just too high to guess. Some of these coins are worth more than a house. If I make a mistake, it could cost me tens of thousands of dollars, or even more. That's why I have a simple rule. When in doubt, call an expert. On Pawn Stars, you see me calling my buddies all the time. For coins, one of my go-to guys is a numismatist. That's a fancy word for a coin expert. These guys have spent their entire lives studying coins. They know every little detail. They know about mint marks, die varieties, and grading standards. They can spot a fake from a mile away. They have seen thousands of coins, so they have a mental library of what's real and what's not. Their opinion is worth its weight in gold, sometimes literally. When an expert comes in, it's not just for my benefit, it's for the seller and for the audience watching at home. The expert can explain why a coin is rare. They can tell the story behind it. They can point out the tiny details that make a coin worth $100,000 or $100,000. They teach me, the seller, and the viewers something new. It adds a layer of trust and education to the show. The seller knows they are getting a fair assessment, and I know I am making a smart purchase based on real information, not just a hunch. Of course, the expert's opinion also gives me a big advantage in the negotiation. Once the expert says what the coin is and what it's worth, the seller can't argue with the facts. It sets a baseline for the deal. I still have to negotiate a price that leaves me room for profit, but we are all working with the same information. Calling in an expert is one of the smartest things a pawnbroker can do. It protects me from fakes, it helps me determine the right price, and it makes for great television. It's a win-win-win. Sometimes a coin story is all about a mistake, or in some cases, a change of plans. The peace dollar is a great example. It was first minted in 1921 to celebrate the end of World War I. The original design was in high relief. That means the image of Lady Liberty on the front was raised very high off the surface of the coin. It was a beautiful artistic design, much like the St. Gaudens double eagle. The 1921 peace dollar is famous for this beautiful deep stripe. It was a symbol of peace and artistry after a terrible war. The US Mint planned to continue making the high-relief design in 1922. They even struck a small number of them. But there was a problem. The high-relief design was very hard on the machinery. The dies used to strike the coins kept breaking. It was expensive and time-consuming to keep replacing them. The mint needed to produce millions of silver dollars, and they couldn't do it with this difficult design, so they made a decision. They changed the design to a low-relief version. It was much flatter and much easier to produce. Because of this change, almost all of the 1922 high-relief peace dollars were ordered to be melted down. The mint wanted to start fresh with the new, easier design, but as always happens in history, a few of them survived. No one knows for sure how many, but the number is very, very small. Experts think that maybe only 10 to 12 of them still exist today. This makes the 1922 high-relief peace dollar one of the rarest and most sought-after coins in American history. It's a legend among collectors. Finding one of these is like finding a unicorn. We once had a man bring in what he thought was a 1922 high-relief peace dollar. The excitement in the shop was real. If it was authentic, it would be worth a fortune. We had to call in our coin expert to be sure. He examined it very closely. He looked at the sharpness of the details and the specific markers that identify a true high-relief coin. In the end, it turned out not to be one of the rare ones. But the story itself is what makes coin collecting so exciting. It's the thrill of the hunt for these incredibly rare treasures. People always want to know what makes an old coin valuable. They bring in a jar of old pennies from their grandpa and think they've hit the jackpot. Most of the time, they haven't. An old coin is not always a valuable coin. There are a few key things that determine a coin's worth. I like to think of them as the 4 big rules. If you understand these rules, you can start to understand the world of coin collecting. The first rule, and the most important one, is rarity. It's simple supply and demand. How many of the coins were made, and how many of them still exist today? A coin might have had a low mintage to begin with, meaning not many were produced. Or, like the St. Gaudens gold coins, many of them might have been melted down and destroyed later. The fewer there are available for collectors, the more they will be willing to pay. A coin that is one of only 100 known to exist will always be more valuable than a coin where millions exist. Rarity is the king when it comes to value. The second rule is condition or grade. A coin that looks like it was just minted yesterday will be worth much more than one that is worn out and damaged. Collectors want the best example they can find. Experts grade coins on a scale from 1 to 70. A grade of 1 means it's barely identifiable. A grade of 70 means it is perfect, with no marks or scratches at all. Even a small difference in grade can mean a huge difference in price. A scratch or a cleaning mark can lower the value by thousands of dollars. So, never clean your old coins. The third and fourth rules are history and demand. Does the coin have an interesting story? The 1943 steel penny tells a story about World War II. The birch cent tells a story about the birth of the nation. These stories add to the coin's appeal. And finally, there has to be demand. People have to actually want the coin. Some types of coins are just more popular with collectors than others. Morgan silver dollars are very popular. So are early American copper coins. These 4 things, rarity, condition, history, and demand, all work together to create a coin's value. After all these years, coins are still one of my favorite things to see on Pawn Stars. The show has been on for a long time now. We've seen Super Bowl rings, classic cars, and even a cannon, but there is something special about coins that keeps people interested. I think it's because they are so accessible. Almost everyone has found an old coin in their pocket change or in a drawer. It makes people wonder, what if this is worth something? It sparks a sense of curiosity and a feeling of treasure hunting that everyone can relate to. These stories connect with our sense of history. Americans are proud of their country's story. Coins are a physical part of that story. When we talk about a coin from the Civil War, we're not just talking about a piece of metal. We're talking about a difficult and important time in our nation's past. When we show a silver dollar from the Old West, we're tapping into the powerful myth of the American frontier. These coins are not just for rich collectors, they are for everyone who loves history and a good story. The world of coin collecting is always changing. New discoveries are made. A coin that was thought to be common might turn out to be a rare variety. A bag of old coins found in a basement could contain a hidden treasure. That's what keeps it exciting. There is always another story to be told, another mystery to be solved, and our shop is right in the middle of it. We are on the front lines, seeing what people bring in every day. We get to be the ones who uncover these amazing stories and share them with the world. That's why people still love these stories on Pawn Stars. It's about more than just the money. It's about the thrill of discovery. It's about holding a piece of history in your hand. It's about the connection to the people and events that shaped our world. As long as there are old coins out there waiting to be found, there will be stories to tell. And you can bet that when they are found, many of them will end up right here, on the counter of the gold and silver pawn shop. You never know what's going to come through that